Radio Frequency Service. The Radio Frequency Service provides the appropriate use of radio frequencies and radio electronic facilities of civil usage, supervises their emissions, and also facilitates the international legal assistance of radio frequency assignments on the whole territory of the Russian Federation. The Radio Frequency Service includes the General Radio Frequency Center and the Radio Frequency Centers of 7 federal areas. The General Radio Frequency Center provides the planning of the centralized assignment frequencies usage and radio electronic facilities in all areas of the country. It also works on the international coordination of the radio frequency assignments for ground and satellite radio services of the Russian Federation. The Radio Frequency Centers have more than 300 stationary monitoring sets and almost 200 mobile equipment sets of radio monitoring. About 3,000 employees are working in enterprises. 70% of them have higher education and wide experience in the communication industry. Annually, about 400,000 radio electronic facilities are covered by radio monitoring. In the course of radio monitoring, about 17,000 radio electronic facilities working illegally are detected, and 3,000 interference signals are eliminated. Within the limits of the national program's realization, the Radio Frequency Service has carried out the work in signal extraction for broadband internet, connecting more than 52,000 schools and installing of the telecommunication lines for 46,000 centers of population. Radio frequency centers of all federal areas work on general problems. However, the peculiarities of their activity depend on a number of specific factors. Far Eastern Federal Area. The area covers 40% of the country's territory. Centers of population are separated by many kilometers, and it complicates the development of telecommunication and control of radio frequencies usage. More than 130,000 radio electronic facilities exist in the radio center eyeshot. 13,000 stationary radio electronic facilities have been installed in the frontier zone, almost 3,000 kilometers long, and that requires high attention to the international legal protection of radio frequency assignments. The navigation and fish industries are increasing constantly here. It is necessary to provide accurate work of radio electronic facilities in these sectors. Siberian Federal Area. The area occupies 30% of the country's territory, including the regions of the extreme north, as well as the vast space of the forest tundra and the taiga forest. The area has a high rate of economic growth. In the Siberian area, the main transit flows pass from the European part of the country to the Asian part, and that requires persistent development of communication facilities and systems. The southern part of the area is densely populated. The concentration of radio electronic facilities comes up to 300 units per 100 square kilometers there. Urals Federal Area. The area is situated on the junction of Europe and Asia. The natural boundary between them is the Ural Mountains. Ural is the key industrial region of the country. The majority of radio electronic facilities, about 130,000, are concentrated on supporting of the Ural industrial sector, as well as the navigation on the largest Russian rivers, the Ob and the Irtysh. There are about 2,500 radio electronic facilities. Privolzhsky Federal Area. The largest rivers such as the Volga, the Kama, and the Oka run through the area's territory. The scale cargo carriage of the European part of Russia implement on these rivers. In this area, the demand for radio frequencies usage is raised. The area possesses a well-developed telecommunication network which unites about 260,000 radio electronic facilities. Up to 50% of all registered radio electronic facilities are used in the major industrial centers of the area. Southern Federal Area. The presence of Caucasus Mountains in the area didn't interfere with making a well-developed communication infrastructure. About 100,000 radio electronic facilities are functioning in these highlands. Communication develops rapidly in the area's seaports. Its specific weight is 30%. Preparation for holding the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi was a powerful stimulus for developing the telecommunication. Now the Radio Frequency Center has already got actively into gear on research of a frequency resource for an additional telecommunication service granting. Northwestern Federal Area. The area's center is St. Petersburg, known as the northern capital of Russia. It is one of the most economically well-developed cities in the country. availability of outward frontiers, access to the northern seas and to the Baltic Sea had an influence on considerable concentration of information communication resources. More than 240,000 radio-electronic facilities are functioning in the area. Over 15,000 of them are in the frontier zone. High-technology systems of radio communication are developing intensively, including the third-generation mobile radio communication system and broadband access system. Central Federal Area. The area is situated in the center of the European part of the country, and it is the leader in all basic socio-economic performances. Here is the highest population density in Russia, and here is the biggest economic, political, scientific, and cultural center of Russia, its capital, Moscow, with population of more than 10 million people. The telecommunication structure of the area includes more than 15,000 communication networks, which unites over 330,000 radio-electronic facilities. The highest concentration level of radio-electronic facilities per unit in the area is registered in this area. The Coordination Council of Radio Frequency Service works for the coordination of the enterprise's own operations, as well as carrying out the general technical policy. The task of integrating the information resources of radio frequency service has been solved by joint effort. This makes it possible to extend the spectrum of services and improve their quality on the territory of the Russian Federation. The radio frequency services enterprises traditionally take part in the most important all-Russian and international telecommunications exhibitions. Countries' government bodies and managers of the telecommunication industry have been attracted by the significance of the radio frequency service job. The motto of the radio frequency service is to provide quality services to all users of the radio frequency spectrum.